Greetings, brothers and sisters. Are you ready to take your ministry's finances to the next level? We're about to explore something called information-driven fundraising. Now, don't let the fancy words scare you. It's really simpler than it sounds. Hi, my name is Paul Hosh, and I'm the CEO of Nonprofit Fundraising Management. And I've been raising funds for ministries and churches just like yours for community projects that are needed in your community for years and years. And by the end of this video, you'll have new tools to increase your giving that will create a bigger impact in your community. And stick around to the end for a quick quiz to help you test and retain your knowledge. And as you may know, watching the video to the end helps us score higher on the YouTube algorithm, which helps them pass this video on to other ministries that need to see it. So thank you. Have you ever wondered how some ministries effortlessly raise money while others struggle? Well, let me tell you a secret. It lies in understanding your supporters, those that give you money. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you how. Now, let's start with the basics. Why is information important in fundraising? Well, think about it like this. When you're planning your sermon, do you tailor your message to your audience? Or do you just create a general sermon for anybody? I doubt you deliver the same sermon to a group of teenagers as you would a group of senior citizens. Well, the same goes for fundraising. When you know more about your donors, you can connect on a deeper level and you can inspire them to give more money towards projects that they care about. It's just like conversing with friends. You listen and then you share your programs that will make a difference in those areas they discussed. For example, imagine you're a pastor visiting a family in your congregation. You wouldn't talk about the same things you would with a young family with kids as you would an elderly widow, would you? You tailor your conversation to their specific needs and interests. Well, that's what information does for fundraising. It helps you deliver specific information to specific supporters on their specific interests. Practical step. Think about your largest supporters of your congregation, those that give you the most money. What are their passions? What motivates them to give? Jot down pieces of information about each one of your largest supporters. This will get you started on gathering valuable information on each one of your supporters. And if you don't have this information, that's okay. Stick around and I'm going to show you how to get this information. Okay, here we go. We're starting the lesson. Step number 1, gathering information. Are you ready to unlock a treasure trove of information gathering techniques? Well, I'll show you some simple strategies to help you get started right now. Now, how do we gather this information? Here are 3 simple ways of how to do this. Number 1, keep records. Keep track of your donors, how much they give, how often they give, and what causes they give to. And this can be recorded on as simple as a notebook or a spreadsheet. Number 2, start conversations. Talk to your members and ask them what they're passionate about and how they'd like to see specific programs grow. And number 3, feedback forms. Create simple forms for people to share their thoughts and ideas. You can even ask them the preferred method of being contacted. For example, let's say you have a member that always volunteers for the food bank. You can talk with them and gauge their passion of why they're always supporting the food bank. And then you can talk to them about your ideas of expanding the food bank. This not only deepens your relationship with that specific donor, but it also gathers the information you need in how to ask them to support the food bank. It's a win-win. Practical step. If you don't already have a system that tracks your donations, start one today. It can be as simple as a notebook or a spreadsheet or a sophisticated CRM. And what you want to record is who gives, when they give, and how much they give. This will be your first step in information-driven fundraising. Step 2, This is the 80-20 rule, my favorite rule. Are you ready to unlock one of the most powerful tools in fundraising called the 80-20 rule? Well, sit tight. This is a principle that will unlock and supercharge your fundraising. It's really a game changer. The 80-20 rule is really a simple principle. Basically, what it shows is that 80% of the donations that you receive are coming from 20% of your donors. If you run the records, you will see that that is the case, or something near that. And so what it's telling you to do is focus your initial interest on the top 20% of your donors in terms of fundraising. This will allow you to drill down into the most important donors. Not the most important congregants, because everyone is equal, but we're talking about the most important donors, the 80% that the funds are coming from. That doesn't mean you're not going to focus on the later 80. You will later on, but initially starting off, you're going to start with the top 20% of your donors, and that's going to change everything for you. For example, say you have 100 donors. Well, according to the 80-20 principle, that means 20% or 20 donors are giving you 80% of the money you're receiving annually. So it is telling you to initially focus on those first 20 donors. That sort of gives you room to focus so you don't overwhelm yourself by trying to focus on all 100. That allows you to just drill down and to dig deeper and to develop relationships with just 20 people. You will then get to the next 80 on the next steps. And the reason this is important is because these are the people that are driving your community programs. 20% are giving you 80% of your support. So from a financial point of view, you need to focus on them in terms of fundraising. Practical step: review your donor records and identify your top 20% of your donors. Once you identify them, come up with a plan on how you're going to engage them. And that would be thanking them for their support, letting them know about new programs that are coming on, and asking their advice for initial programs that you're thinking about but have not yet developed. Now we're to step number 3, understanding your supporters. So now you've gathered the data about your donors. Now the fun begins. Now we're going to take this data and turn it into action steps. Stick around and I'm about to show you how. Once you've gathered the data, look for patterns in the data. Are your congregants young families? Are they older? Are they working? Do they work in tech? What are the patterns? What are the groups that you're finding in your supporters? Are they more interested in community outreach? Are they interested in after-school programs for the current students of the congregation? What are their interests? And once you gather this information, this is how you tailor your stories and your requests for each individual donor, because you're learning what they're interested in. So you're going to tailor your requests towards their interests. For example, imagine your next project is a playground and you're sending a fundraising letter to an elderly couple who has grandchildren in the neighborhood. Your message is going to emphasize safety for their grandkids. It would be a different message that you would be sending for a young couple that doesn't have kids. So this information helps you tailor your message, tailor your ask to help you get larger gifts. Practical step: review your information on your donors. Again, look for patterns. Do you have groups of young people? Do you have groups of middle-aged people? Or do you have groups of seniors? This will help you tailor your fundraising messages that reach and connect to your congregants, because you're talking to them in a language that they understand and in a passion that will motivate them. So this is why gathering information about your supporters helps you raise more money. Step number 4, connecting to your supporters. Now, do you want to build stronger relationships to your supporters, your congregants? And do you want them to give more generously? In this next section, I'm going to show you how to do that. Stick around. Now, let's talk about how to connect to your supporters much more deeply. There are 3 important steps on how to do that. Number 1, announcements. Share exciting updates about your ministry's programs, either in the newsletters or during the service. Number 2, events. Host special events like fundraising dinners or community outreach days to show your supporters all the things that you're doing and how their support is making an impact in the community. And number 3, probably my favorite, personal conversations. Talk to your individual supporters one-on-one. Take them to lunch, over the phone, or even in a nice handwritten note. You want to let them know that they're making a difference and that you are making a difference through the programs that your ministry is delivering in the community. For example, host a salon. A salon is a friend-raising event that you would invite individuals in the community as well as your congregation, where you would come to someone's home and talk about the programs that your ministry has delivered in the community. It's a very simple event, and you gauge people's interest on how they'd like to get involved with the programs at your ministry. You don't ask for money at this event. You simply ask them to come down and visit the program at their leisure. And it's a great event. And you're basically introducing the programs to individuals in the community. You're also getting them to come down to your facilities to see what it is you're doing. And what you're doing is you're developing a new generation of supporters to your programs that are needed in the community. So make sure you have little events, little opportunities to tell the community about the programs that you guys are delivering. Practical step. Come up with 4 or 5 individuals who might like to host a fundraiser in their home. Contact them, get them to say yes. Once they do that, come up with a few programs that you'd like to highlight in their home. Ask them to reach out to their friends to attend the event. You reach out to your friends, your donors in the area to attend the event, have the event, and your only promise is to get individuals to come down and visit your facilities during operation. Step number 6, showing appreciation. Do you want to know the secret ingredient of keeping donors around, supporting you year after year? Well, I'm going to go over that in this next section. Always show appreciation to your supporters. A simple thank you goes a long way in deepening the relationship with those who support your programs. You can always recognize your supporters in many, many different ways. You can do it during service, as long as you get their approval, of course. You can do it through the newsletter, through your annual impact report. You can do it over a phone call. You can do it during lunch, but it's always a way to support your donors giving you more by showing appreciation. That's key. One of my favorite ways of showing appreciation to our supporters is taking them to lunch or dinner and thanking them for their support. But the most important thing is I will sometimes show the data, the impact of what they've done, their support has done. But then on top of that, I will then also show an individual quote or something that shows where it has impacted an individual that they have done with their support. And sometimes if things work out, I will actually have one of the beneficiaries there to thank them. So always try to be creative and find ways to thank your supporters. And remember, best practices says you're supposed to thank your supporters 7 times on an annual basis. 7. Practical step. Come up with your top supporters, again, your top 20%, and come up with 7 different ways that you are going to thank them throughout the year. Number 6, Measuring progress. Do you want to know how to stay motivated and stay on track with your fundraising? It's easy. It's keeping track of your progress. I'll show you how in the next session. It's incredibly important to track your fundraising progress. You want to know who's given, you want to know how much they're given, and you want to know how frequently they're giving. You want to do this because you want to know what is working and what is not working. You want to use a simple chart or graph to show your congregation. This will build excitement and keep the momentum going. For example, imagine one of the projects is purchasing a new van to deliver food. You can create a thermometer that shows the increase of the funds raised, and you can talk about the growth of the funds throughout the sermon, in the e-newsletter, or even online socially. So you want to make sure you're keeping track. You want to make sure you're giving that information out to excite your supporters, and you want to make sure you're tracking to see what's working and what's not working. Practical step. Come up with a fundraising goal for your next project and share that goal with your congregation, either through the sermon, through the newsletter, or both. And keep track of that and show the transparency of the growth of that particular project. You'll be surprised at the excitement that's created and how quicker you reach your goal. Now, here is a real life example. I work with a small a school out in Los Angeles, a religious organization, and we were able to raise substantial amounts of money after we put these steps in place. We started tracking our donors. We started gathering information. We paid attention to the 80-20 rule. We thanked our donors. We did all of these things. And when I first started there, we were raising, I think it was about just a little under $2 million. By the time I left, we were raising about $3.5 million on annual. So these steps really work. So start doing them today. And, when I first started working with churches, I noticed that many of them struggle with some of these modern methods. And the reason is they're so used to passing the plate. And the other reason is no one taught them this. Many of these ministers and pastors and leaders, they have doctoral degrees, but it's amazing that they're not taught how to fundraise for the programs that are needed in their community. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to show you how to elevate your programs so you can continue to create changes in your community and create lasting legacies. So follow these steps and they will help you. If you need more information on this, reach out to us. We will try to help you as well. And if you want to dig deeper into building those donor relationships, check out this video it's called Prepare, Solicit, and Follow Up. It really shows you how to make the ask and be prepared for the ask and to get the donors to continue to give over time. So check out this video. Now, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope it helps you. And if you liked it, please make sure you like it, subscribe to it, and share this video with your friends and colleagues, as this helps us spread this information so ministries like yours can continue to thrive. But before I wrap up, there's a few additional tips I'd like to give to you. Number one, start small. Don't try to bite off the whole elephant in one bite. That's why I'm asking you to really pay attention to the 80-20 rule. Focus on your top 20% of your donors and try all these steps. Don't try to do everyone. It's just too much and overwhelming. Number two, be patient. Fundraising foundation takes a while. It takes a while for individuals to get used to what it is you're doing. But I'll tell you, once they get used to it, they'll never want to go back because the engagement is much more deeper. They have much more fun. They see the impact of their support. So be patient. Number three, ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to congregations that are doing great work in an area you're interested in. Don't be afraid to reach out to us. Ask us to see if we can help you do the things that you need to do. And remember, just keep it simple. Gather information. Utilize that information. Focus on the top 20% of your donors. Ask them for their support. Follow up, acknowledge them, and measure, keep track, and start the whole process over again. You will be stunned at how much money you will raise from this year versus last year. I guarantee it. And as always, and as promised, let's jump into the quick quiz. And remember, this is just for fun and to help you retain this information. So put your answers in the comments below, and I'll try to respond to as many of them as I can. Thank you. Number 1, why is it important to gather information about your supporters? Number 2, what are some ways to connect to your supporters? Number 3, how can you show appreciation to your supporters? Number 4, why is it important to measure your fundraising progress? And number 5, what is the 80-20 rule and how can you use it in your ministry? And remember, your ministry has a unique and valuable mission to your community. By using these simple techniques, you can increase your ministry and make a bigger impact in your community for years to come. Thanks again for watching, and I'd love to hear your answers below. And also, please leave questions if you like, and I'll try to get back to those as well. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with many of your friends and colleagues. And I'll see you next time in the next video. And also, check out the next video. It's on why communication is key to fundraising. And as always, keep inspiring, keep thriving, and keep living with purpose. I'll see you in the next video.